Please be seated. So I consider myself a self-proclaimed foodie, like most foodies are. Now, I'll admit, right, I'm not saying that I'm going to go out and be a food critic anytime soon, but believe it or not, I've been eating food my whole life, okay? And so I kind of know what I'm talking about here. So myself, right? I know what I like, and it turns out I like good food. I like good restaurants. I like good atmosphere, right? No, so I'm a foodie, and I'm okay to own that, right? And I would say that even my closest friends even know what some of my favorite restaurants are because I like to talk about my favorite food. So here that list includes, well, Social, it includes Mercy Kitchen, it includes Rockin' Sake, and it includes Wild Child. Now, let me just say, if you're not familiar with Wild Child, okay, you need to go on a Friday afternoon and get the turkey focaccia sandwich. Okay, I'm just telling you. Jesus Christ and that sandwich will change your life. Mercy Kitchen, place. You can go there too. Okay, so, right, my closest people, they know what kind of food I like. They know that if you're going to be eating hamburgers, tacos, or pizza, you probably need to give me a call because you know I'm going to show up. And really, how many of y'all are that same way? How many of your people know what your favorite restaurants are, know what your favorite food are? And I'm going to take a step further, at least here in Lafayette, they probably know where you buy your boudin at because that makes a difference. They probably know what car wash you go to because we know they're not all the same. But here's my question for you. Do they know where you go to church? Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that to try to shame anyone or guilt anyone. I'm saying that as a way to hold a mirror. Because I want us to ask ourselves that question. Why is it that we're more likely to talk about our favorite restaurants and less likely to talk about our favorite church? See, today, despite the weather, was our annual meeting. We had a beautiful annual meeting where we talk about the future of Barnabas and where we go. And I think that this is a worthy conversation for us to have. Because today in our gospel, Jesus went to his disciples and said, "Follow me." Last week we heard him say, "Come and see." Jesus continually goes to his disciples and invites them into relationship with him, invites them to walk the road with him, invites them to be a part of his life so that he may be a part of their life. Jesus does it over and over again, and I guess my question for you is, how's that going? I tell you, for being your priest, that is my central question for you. I want to know, how is it going? How is your relationship with Christ? Are y'all on speaking terms? Are y'all fighting right now? When was the last time y'all had a major conversation? I want to know that Jesus invites us to walk with him. Let's take a pause right here and talk about these disciples today that Jesus calls out or invites to follow him. We have Peter and we have Andrew and we have James and John, two sets of brothers. Now, what we know about them, or at least what tradition has kind of led us towards, that more than likely they were between the ages of 16 and 25. Right? They were young. I think that that's really incredible because now in our current society, we wouldn't consider them to be adults all the way, and yet Jesus trusted them enough to build the kingdom. Interesting. 16 and 25. Now, they didn't know anything about theology, at least not beyond what they learned in vacation Torah school growing up. But they knew everything there was to know about fishing. They were fishermen through and through. They could read the weather. They could read fish movements. They could read the water. They knew how to make nets, how to make tackle. They knew fishing all the way. Now, what we also know is that their fishing industry, their organization, it wasn't just a small thing. It was probably a really big operation. I say that because when we read the other Gospels, we learn that there's other ships with them. So they have fishing vessels. Right? Again, it's not just a little family business, but they're operating a big industry here. What that tells us then is they're not rich. They're not the upper class by any means, but they're not living in poverty either. They're probably middle class business owners. And because they were living in a fishing village, that also meant that people knew them. They had influence. They were a big name in town. I say all of that because they had a lot at stake. They had a lot to lose. When Jesus comes and says, "Follow me," and they immediately drop everything and follow him. Right? They don't go home and talk it over with the family. They don't try to get the business in order. They don't maybe sell off a couple boats and make sure that, old man Zebedee is taken care of. No. They left him in the boat. They said, "Bye, Pops," and they left. They immediately dropped everything. Now, when we hear that, many of us kind of jump to two conclusions. Number one is, it was just a simpler time back then. From what we can tell, it wasn't. Sure, yeah, they didn't have technology, they didn't have some scientific discoveries, but they weren't a simpler people. They were still people just like you and me, and they had a lot at stake. They were business owners too, and yet they still walked away. It's not that they were just simpler people. The next thing it makes you wonder is maybe move to a place of shame. Oh my goodness, if those disciples can do it, why can't I? It starts to make us feel a certain way. For what it's worth, I want you to engage with that question. I think that is an important question for us to ask ourselves as disciples of Christ. What would it take for us to immediately drop everything and follow him? We should have that answer. But let me also say, I don't want you to feel shame for that answer. Because I don't think we need Jesus to say, "Immediately drop everything and follow me." Notice, he didn't say that, did he? The disciples did it. See, it's not about immediately doing it and following. It's not immediately abandoning everything. I think there's something else here. There's another way we can tell this story. Again, so I don't want you to feel shame for that, because I don't think that's the point. We don't need Jesus to say, "Immediately drop everything." What we need is to trust Jesus enough to know that he won't hurt us. That's what we need. Trust Jesus enough to know that he won't hurt us. And then, once you trust him there, you're more likely to invite someone to walk the road with you. That's what we need. If we're talking about how do we follow Jesus, trust him enough to know he won't hurt us, and then walk with him. And invite someone on that journey too. Let's go back to our restaurant analogy. Again, think back of what was the greatest meal you've ever had. Restaurant. And how many people you told about that meal? I'm willing to bet you told everyone about that meal. And yet most of us don't tell our friends and family, co-workers, strangers. I know, Gene, you do, but we know you're different. Most of us don't tell people about the church life. You see, I think in a way it's safer to tell people about a restaurant. And there's 3 reasons why, I believe. Number one, at a restaurant, you've experienced it. You know that it's good. You know that the food was wonderful. You wouldn't keep talking about it if it wasn't. Number 2, right, these build on each other. Number 2, you trust that the place won't embarrass you when you invite and recommend it to someone. And number 3, you believe that the person you send there is treated with hospitality and taken care of. Because of that, restaurants are a little bit safe to recommend to someone, to spread the word to someone. So then our question is, do we believe St. Barnabas to be like that? Does St. Barnabas have those 3 things, right? Have you experienced, obviously you're here, so you're experiencing something. I want to know, have you experienced the love of God? Have you experienced the presence of God in your midst? Have you experienced the Lord in the Holy Communion when you come to receive it, and in your neighbor, bless you, sitting next to you? Have you experienced it? Number 2, the question is St. Barnabas going to embarrass you? Well, maybe. Okay. It's meant to be a joke. I'm sorry. No, we have our peculiars. We have our interesting things. But we also know that this is a trusting, faithful, dedicated group of people. And number 3, do we believe that anyone who comes here is going to be treated and welcomed and accepted and have a home? Here's the thing. I can't answer that for you. You have to answer that for yourself. You're the only one who can answer those 3 questions and say if St. Barnabas meets that criteria. And let me tell you, if for you it does not, Come work with me to make it that way. Truly, work with me to make it that way. But if St. Barnabas does meet that criteria, then what are we waiting on? Right? See, I believe that we have something special here at St. Barnabas. I think we are something special here at St. Barnabas. And I also think that we're the greatest secret in Lafayette. And I don't know if that's okay. Right, this is a place that no matter who you are, or where you come from, or how you dress, or how you love, you can find a home. You can find family. I do know that people have come here and reconnected with their sense of the divine that they maybe haven't seen in years. I do know that this is a place that is going to allow you to deepen your life with Christ. I'm not saying that we're unique in that, but I'm saying that I think we do it pretty good. And my question is, if you've experienced something like that, if you've experienced something so incredible like that, God, you can't keep that in. See, I think the best way for you to deepen your faith and trust and love in Jesus Christ is to invite someone else into it. Show how much you live that already. Right? So again, is St. Barnabas the sort of place that you believe you can invite someone into? If it's not, come work with me. If it is, then what are we waiting for? We're on the cusp of greatness, and look, we're already doing things that on a national scale, the Episcopal Church isn't seeing. We're seeing growth in numbers, we're seeing growth in people, we're seeing growth in disciples. And our secret sauce, I said this at annual meeting today, our secret sauce is you, St. Barnabas. And it's because we preach Jesus Christ. We preach Jesus Christ by showing radical love and radical acceptance. Right? That's why we're growing. And so my encouragement for you is to invite people into it. If it is great, if it is changing your life, invite someone to experience it with you. Again, either this is the church that you trust to invite people into, or it's not. If it is, then what are we waiting for? To God be the glory, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.